Hello, this is a guide then to component 3 of the A-level media course. This video is primarily going to focus on the Eduqas spec and the ingredients you would need then to create your coursework portfolio. By portfolio I mean the range of print and website submissions that you're going to use to support 30% of your grade for A-level media studies. This video is going to look at the planning tools you should use before really probing deeply into exactly how your design will look. As a starting point then, the things the exam boards say we can and cannot do are as follows. The exam boards say that we are unable to provide specific guidance to how to make improvements. Your teacher is unable to point out exactly what you could do to improve your answer. We're unable to offer detailed advice regarding elements such as the intended audience or the conventions of media language. That comes from your own studies from earlier on in your academic year. We're unable to provide writing frames for structure and statement of aims and intentions, so you won't get sentence starters or example full detailed paragraphs for your particular genre. And we're only able to formally review your work 4 times. I think many teachers would discuss the work with you, but formally in terms of grading and overall support comments given, we can only do that 4 times during the coursework period or the coursework construction phase. Let's have a look at how those 4 times might look then. For example, we might give an introduction, such as this one, to in-depth tasks and lessons. So we would give an idea of what sort of planning tools you would use. That indeed is where this video comes in. We're also able to give in-class intervention regarding how a typical DVD cover might look and to give you some support in terms of how the different design elements might work on the page, but it's up to you to then do the specifics and work out exactly what images, etc. you want to use. We would then give you an individual deadline for final coursework submission. And what we do then is advise some elements that might be missing. So you might say things like check through the brief, study the details of what needs to be on a DVD front cover, tick those off and spot the one that's missing. And our 4th intervention would be then some guidance on how to write a brief with examples, how you might go about writing it and the kind of language you might want to use with examples to your particular grade. And lastly, of course, is the submission of final coursework, at which point your teacher will collect your work in and your aims and intentions and then grade it accordingly using the marking criteria for this unit. So once again, we have 4 times we can formally look at the coursework, but we are unable to give specific guidance for your particular response. A good start then when planning your coursework is to look at the brief. You look at the brief set out by the exam board, and then I would advise the following 9 planning activities should take place. Before you begin creating your website, it's important you have all the necessary components to apply to the site before you begin construction. So number 1, I would suggest you research at least 3 horror or action film websites. Indeed, the genre there is mentioned horror and action, but obviously the genre for your particular website is what you'd be looking for. Find 3 examples that you feel link to a film that's similar to indeed your own. Send your teacher all 3, and then we could then easily have a discussion to say which one is the one you'd most like to replicate. Stage 2 would be where you think of the name for your film or TV series you've been asked to produce, and make sure it isn't one that's already copyrighted, so not one that already exists. You'll also need to create a tagline for your film. That's like a slogan, if you will, for your film to exaggerate its key message or key genre to the audience. Again, look at some examples online for inspiration for that. Number 3, you'll need to create a main image or photo for your film for your website. You cannot use any material that's been copyrighted, meaning you must enlist the help of friends or family if needs be to help you with the content of the image. So please do ask friends and family to pose for the shots you want to use that look very similar to other genre websites or genre DVD covers that you found in your research. Number 4, write a synopsis for your film, a shortened version of what your film or TV series is going to be about. Approximately 100 words should do the job there. Look at DVD covers and movie websites for inspiration. Look at the kind of language they use on their blurb on the back cover. Look at DVD covers of your particular genre. Think about how the language is used there to promote the film and persuade people to go and see it. Number 5. Storyboard your film into a middle of 10 sections. Get a rough idea of the plot. What story do you want to tell? This would then inform the photos you take later in terms of how you might actually choose parts of that plot to then generate screenshots or fake screenshots of your proposed production. Number 6. Create biographies for 3 characters of your film. You need to understand your characters, their motives, and more importantly, how they fit in with the genre that you've been asked to write for. You need at least 3 images, at least 1 for each character then, and you should also write and describe their key characteristics. That way, of course, it becomes much easier to decide what kind of photographs you want to take, and indeed who you want to, in inverted commas, employ for your production. Use demographics, as you'll need to write up why you chose these characters. So choose characters that fit the age range that you've been given by the exam board. Don't go too far astray from what genre normally shows your characters to be. For example, the young female characters in horror films tend to be the victims. Equally, the big strong male characters are normally characters that would then be the killer of some kind. Stage 7, you'll need to write about 6 different film stills that could be uploaded onto your website. So you need 6 different film stills to put onto the website. Ideally, I'd probably do more like 10, that we have some spares if you decide to change your mind later on. If you look at the back of any DVD cover, they normally have film stills to give viewers an idea of what happens in the film and the best moments in that production. Number 8, record an interview with the director of the film that lasts between 30 and 45 seconds. So if you look on YouTube, you'll find interviews with directors such as Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, etc., etc., and they'll explain why they filmed the bits they did. Equally, on a DVD, you normally have kind of the extras that they film, which are interviews with the director. Have a look at those, look at the language they use, look at the kind of questions they're answering, and use that to inform your own recording with presumably yourself as the director of your film. And lastly, number 9, write a mini persuasive review of the film. Think about the DVD's blurb or the Amazon reviews or the IMDb reviews that are really positive about a film of your chosen genre. Hijack some of the language, take some of the words being used and construct your own mini review of your own film, advertising it and persuading your target audience to actually go and see it. But remember, don't give away the entire plot. That's what the mystery is of them actually watching the film itself. Now, for each brief the exam board they give a kind of bit of detail on the expectations of what you might do for research. A copy of this is currently on the screen from the 2020 to 2021 brief. Under this, you would find then a grid of all the details you need to include in your coursework folder. Please take the time now to pause this video and read through this brief and exactly what is or is not expected from you in terms of preparatory work, your research, and indeed the quality of production. Here is what the grid for the coursework then looks like. The brief stipulates that certain features must be present in the coursework folder. These would then form a checklist on Show My Homework for you to check the work. If not on Show My Homework, then I'm sure your teacher, or indeed working as a class, you could work out what the key ingredients for your response is. It's likely your teacher may well put this on the screen for you or give you a printout, and you would then highlight the key things you then tick off later as part of your coursework folder. You'll notice on the left hand side it gives you a target audience you've got to focus on and a particular company that you are going to use as your production company. In this case, featured in bold in the center of that first column. You can see it gives you a task in the second column saying what you've actually got to produce and the details of that task in the furthest column on the right hand side, and it tells you exactly how many words or how many photos you actually need. Now, aside from your original planning, where you look at different sources to get ideas of themes, characters, and situations in your chosen genre, the following are examples of the film release Atrocious from 2011. This is a low-budget horror production, as last year's genre the exam board wanted was horror. You'll notice that most of the expectations of the coursework are met in this example, but this is not an assessed example, so there may well also be some things missing. So please take these print elements of the coursework folder as just examples of the kind of thing you should produce. We have first of all our teaser poster, a very simple poster that is designed to create a mystery around the film and its key themes. Please take a moment to consider the questions on the bottom on the left. Moving forward, we then have our theatrical release poster with the element of the brief detailed at the top. You can see the image here is slightly different and it's had a lot more photoshopping done to it. Once again, consider the key questions on the left-hand side that allow you to unpick how this image was produced. And lastly, let's explore the DVD cover as a whole. As you can immediately see, there's a lot more depth to the DVD cover, a lot more features to remember to do, or equally a lot more features to tick off. After all, it's not a case of memorizing them, it's a case of just using this checklist to create a professional, detailed product. As you can see, the DVD cover is the most ornate, the most detailed of the three print texts that we've offered as an example. And please take a moment to consider, how do you know this is the same film across all three print media? So the teaser, the theatrical poster, and indeed the DVD. Each one of them uses a slightly different method of approaching its horror genre, but each one is clearly linked in terms of its style and its gothic sentiment, so you know it is the same film that's being advertised in each. These then are three good examples of how to go about your coursework folder and begin planning to be successful. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that was useful to you.